Pretty Girl Club. I want to talk about ethnic jealousy. So, we've talked about phenotype envy. I've talked about voice and personality envy over on the Patreon. Be sure to subscribe if you're interested in that. But I also want to talk about how people can be jealous of your ethnic background. They can be jealous of your racial mix. I know I've had women tell me before, oh, well, I'm just Black American and white American. You have all these different things in your bloodline, or like, some people, they literally feel like the more things you are mixed with, the more interesting you are. Some people favor certain ethnicities more than others. Some people love Asian culture, for example. So I've noticed sometimes people have a special jealousy towards Blasians because, maybe they really love K-pop or something. So once they come across a woman who's Black and Korean, it's almost triggering in a way because it's like, they wish they had proximity to that culture. So cultural envy, ethnic envy, racial envy, that is definitely a thing. I also feel like sometimes if you come from a rare background, like if you have a very rare racial mix, or if you come from maybe a smaller country, like Guyanese, I've heard some people talk about having a Guyanese background or having like some sort of Caribbean background. And maybe they are some sort of multiracial person, or maybe their family is from there. They have that background. I've just noticed that people place certain groups on a pedestal because sometimes it's from fetishization. They like that you're a spicy Latina, for example, or they like a quote unquote submissive Asian woman. So it's almost like a fetishization thing. But at the same time, there are certain people who view your racial, cultural, or ethnic background as a form of status. It's a status symbol, especially if you have roots that are not in America. Let's say you live in America and your roots are not from America. There are people that are going to exotify that. There are people who think that's more exotic, or they think it's more cool because maybe you're Black, white, and Asian, and maybe they're just half Black, half white, or half Asian, half white, and they wish they had a little bit of Black in them, like how you do. So there are all different types of things that human beings can be jealous of. And that's because everyone is social climbing. They just don't want to admit it. Everyone has certain goals. Everybody has a certain way that they want to be treated. And they feel like their ethnic background is a part of what makes them interesting. And it is. I mean, your ethnic background is beautiful. The culture you come from is beautiful. So there are some people who feel like the more cultures you're connected to, the more beautiful and interesting you become. So that's where some of that jealousy comes from. And have you ever noticed when it comes to celebrities, a lot of people, they want to sit back and wait and see how you identify yourself before they become a fan. Like, remember with Tyla, people got pissed off because she didn't identify as just Black. But if she would have identified as just Black, people would have said that she's not a real Black woman. She's not a real representation of Blackness. So I think that sometimes jealousy can come from the fact that you have multiple options. You can flow in and out of 2 or 3 different ethnic communities. You can flow in and out of several different groups. All you have to do is change up your hair color, and now you're meeting a Latina beauty standard as opposed to a Black beauty standard. And by the way, I do believe in the concept of like cultural allure. Every culture has certain things about it that are like romanticized or idealized in the media. Number 2 is social capital. There's a reason why you see people getting specifically upset about a Black and white biracial. Let's say you're 50% white, you're 75% white. Part of why people get triggered by that, or if you're white passing, it's because they associate your whiteness with social capital. They associate your whiteness with social status more so than all the other groups. So that is definitely a form of envy. I believe that cultural envy is a thing. Ethnic envy is a thing. Having an immigrant background versus being an American. That's why they're creating all these separate phrases too. They talk about like foundational Black Americans, and then, people are separating themselves. They use phrases like first generation or second generation. Another thing that causes jealousy is internalized bias. So for example, They resent the fact that you have an attitude. They resent the fact that you're spicy because maybe they've been taught in Black culture that having an attitude is bad. You have to avoid that stereotype at all costs. But you are a spicy Latina. So that could be a part of where the jealousy is coming from. They're jealous that you are celebrated for something that they were punished for. You get celebrated for your attitude. You get celebrated for your spice. But they got punished in society, or they got punished in the workplace. So I think that's another part of kind of like this cultural envy or ethnic envy. So the same thing that is celebrated in your culture, being spicy or whatever, could be something that is denigrated in Black culture or maybe in white culture. In white culture, that's a good example. They call it a Karen. So she's punished for being assertive. She's punished for her attitude, quote unquote. She gets called a Karen, whereas, oh, you're just spicy, you're just feisty. And I know that that's obviously not true in every case, but some people, they do think of your ethnicity like that. They stereotype you. They give you either a positive stereotype based on your ethnic background, or they give a negative stereotype. Number 4, your ethnic background makes them feel less unique. It makes them feel less seen. And your confidence in your identity triggers their discomfort. Have you ever seen somebody where they literally get mad because you have a flag in your bio? They get mad because you have a flag in your bio. They get mad because you wear a t-shirt that says Puerto Rico. You know, they don't like the confidence that you have in your identity. They don't like that you talk about that every chance you get. You know how they say, oh, well, she makes it her whole personality. She makes her background her whole personality. Okay, she's jealous of the confidence you have in your identity. You're proud of who you are. And that's why she's mad. She would never wear a t-shirt that says what her background is. But maybe you have 5 or 6 t-shirts with your flag on it. You have all the gear. You know, maybe you're repping the soccer team or something from your home country. Maybe you're celebrating all these unique holidays. That's another thing too, is people perceive you as being more interesting. They just feel like your cultural experience is more rich because maybe you get to travel back and forth. You get to go back to Japan to see some of your family members, or you get to, you're celebrating all these different holidays. You can relate to all of these different people. So when I say ethnicity, by the way, what that means, it's a group of people who share a common cultural background. So some examples are like Caribbean, you know, Afro-Latino. So for example, you're Afro-Cuban, Afro-Dominican, Afro-Puerto Rican. And then in Latin America, you got Mexican, Colombian, Venezuelan, Peruvian. And let's talk about that as well. Are you a mixture? Are you Afro-Peruvian? I want to talk about that specifically. If your mixture includes Peruvian, Brazilian, or anything that is associated with certain hair textures, oh yeah, you're absolutely going to experience some sort of cultural or ethnic envy because there are, you know, the hair textures of Peruvian women are worshipped in the Black community. So if that's a part of your ethnic background, let's say you're a Black woman and you have some Peruvian ancestry as well, oh yeah, that's definitely going to be triggering because they feel like you're being validated by the hair industry. There are certain ethnic groups that get validated by different industries. So, for example, are you Black and French? Do you have some sort of Creole background? Because a lot of people associate Creoles with their French ancestry. So, I mean, who doesn't love France? Who doesn't love like Paris? And like when I think of France, I'm thinking of like elegance. I'm thinking of all their yummy like pastries and stuff. So sometimes people, they feel like you are more unique than them. They feel like you have more interesting things about you because of your ethnic background. And think about it. If you were to bring that up in conversation, a lot of people are going to ask you, oh, have you ever been to Peru? Have you ever been to El Salvador? Have you ever been to Japan? Oh, wow. Have you ever been to Korea? So it is kind of a conversation starter, your ethnic background. And it can make you more relatable to people who have that same ethnic background. And by the way, there are certain signs that a person will show if they're jealous of your ethnic background. Number 1, they will try to downplay or dismiss your background. So they'll say, oh, you're not really Latina. You don't count. You're not really Irish. You're not really Peruvian. You don't count. And then they'll try to act confused or irritated whenever you bring up your heritage. They'll be like, wait, so what are you again? So you changed it. That's different than what you said last time. And by the way, if you're multiracial, multi-ethnic, multicultural, that's actually pretty normal for you to emphasize certain parts of your mix depending on who you're around, because that's how you're relating to that person. So it's not that they're trying to change their mixture or change their identity. They're just talking about it more because they're in that space. Like I saw recently, people got mad at that actor Tyreek. I think his name is Tyreek Withers or something. He is black and white. And he was talking to black people in front of a black audience about his blackness. And I feel like people, they just wanted him to pick a side, or they tried to view it like, oh, well, he's dismissing his whiteness. No, he's not trying to dismiss his whiteness. He's just making money off of the culture that he's in at the moment, which is blackness. But a person that's jealous of your ethnic background, they will try to make it as if your ethnicity doesn't matter. They'll try to erase it from the conversation. And that's because they don't want you to get attention off of it. So they have this mindset of, if I don't get attention off of my ethnic background, you don't get attention off yours. That's not fair. It's not fair that people want to have a conversation about your ethnicity and they don't want to have a conversation about mine. And by the way, I noticed in the black community, they have this talking point where they're like, oh, well, it's not my responsibility to educate people about my background. Okay, so then why do you get mad when somebody asks a mixed person about their background? Why do you get mad when you see women of other ethnic backgrounds educating about theirs? You said you didn't want to talk about yours. You didn't want to educate others about your shit. So it's like, what is it? Do you want your ethnic background to be the center of attention or not? Do you want to wear your ethnic background on your sleeve or not? Are you proud of your ethnic background, or do you want it to remain in the background? But number two, they compare you to stereotypes. That's a sign of jealousy. Okay, so they'll say things like, oh, you only get attention because you look exotic. They only like you because you're light skinned. They only like you because you're foreign looking. They only like you because you're mixed. You're just a token. You're the sidekick of the real Latinas. You're the sidekick of the white passing biracials. Oh no, you're a sidekick compared to the real West Indians. You're not Indian enough. You're only a quarter Indian. You're just a token. You're the darkest one in the group. You have the nappiest hair in the group. Okay, all of those are signs of jealousy. They're trying to compare you to a stereotype. They want you to feel bad because you don't meet the stereotype of that ethnicity, which is inherently a racist comment. That's racist. If you're making fun of someone because they don't meet your stereotype of that ethnicity, you are racist. Number three, sign of jealousy, backhanded compliments about your looks. For example, you're pretty for a dark-skinned Latina. Oh, I thought that all Mexicans looked different, but oh, you're actually pretty. Oh, wow, your hair doesn't even look like Latinas. Your hair doesn't look like white people's. So they're acknowledging your beauty, but they're still trying to separate you from your group. And by the way, it's possible to be a part of multiple groups. If you're multi-ethnic, that's literally what that phrase means. You're a part of multiple ethnic groups. And I mean, if you don't want to identify with it, that's your own business, but it is possible to have a fluid identity. Number four, they mimic you and then they criticize you. So they have the audacity to talk shit, but then they want to copy your slang. They want to copy your fashion. They want to copy your beauty style. And when I say copy, have you ever seen people copy certain ethnicities' beauty? Peruvian beauty. If you wear Peruvian hair, you are copying the Peruvian ethnicity's version of beauty. That's why it's called, they're literally calling it Peruvian hair so that when you purchase it, you know what type of beauty you're emulating. You're emulating the beauty of an Afro-Peruvian woman if you're black and wearing Peruvian hair. So people will sometimes mimic you, like they'll copy you, they'll copy your aesthetic, they'll copy your phenotype, they'll copy your slang. Maybe you are Afro-Latina, maybe you do salsa classes or something. Now suddenly she's going to salsa classes. But then they want to criticize you like, oh, you're not that good at salsa. Oh, you're not that good at Spanish. Meanwhile, she has Spanish. She has Duolingo on her phone right now. She's got the Duolingo app. She's got the Babbel app. She's over here listening to Bad Bunny. She's trying to learn the same language that she's criticizing you for not being fluent in. That's a sign of jealousy. Another thing is those people who say, oh, I wish I had your skin tone. I wish I had your hair. I wish I had your features. But then later on, they start making digs about how you look. So that's kind of like fascination mixed with envy. So they want the cultural flavor without giving you credit. They want access to your culture, but they don't want to acknowledge you. That's not going to work. That's why you see me talking so much shit when it comes to Black women empowerment channels, because you want to try to become multicultural, but then you don't want to acknowledge the multicultural Black women on YouTube. That makes no sense. So you hate a mixed woman's white side, but then you want to date white men. But number 5, sign of jealousy is she will compete with you over authenticity. Have you ever been accused of not being authentic? Oh, well, you're fake. You're not a real West Indian gal. You're not a real mixed woman. You're not a real Afro-Latina. You're not a real Puerto Rican. So they're trying to make authenticity a competition. It's like you have to try to prove how real you are. Have you ever heard people talk about that? Have you ever been around certain groups of people where it's like being real is a competition? You got to prove how down you are. You got to prove how real you are. So if you don't speak fluent Spanish, if you don't speak fluent Italian, if you don't speak fluent Creole, then you're not authentic. So you're not really a part of the group. That's a sign of jealousy. They're going to police how you speak Spanish. They police how you speak the language. They police the way that you express your cultural pride. You're never doing it right. If you try to celebrate a holiday that is associated with that culture, they'll try to be like, oh, well, you didn't even grow up with that. And it's like, you don't have to grow up meeting a stereotype in order to be a part of a group. That would be like if somebody says you're not Black if you don't listen to hip hop. Like, just because someone doesn't meet your stereotype, it doesn't mean they're not a part of the group. So that comes from insecurity. They feel like they are losing belonging. And so they want you to feel the same way. They want you to feel lower on the hierarchy. They want you to feel like you're at the bottom. So you know how people talk about dark skin blackness and they say, oh, well, I'm at the bottom because of my dark skin blackness. Okay, they want you to feel like you're at the bottom of the Latinas because you're a dark skin Latina. They want you to feel the same way. I'm at the bottom, so you have to be at the bottom too. Well, I don't get to participate in my culture, so you can't either. Number 6, they try to exclude you. They try to other you. So maybe they want to leave you out of the conversation. Or they give you the cold shoulder when other people are praising your heritage. Or they call it racism or colorism. If somebody praises your beauty. If somebody compliments your eye color, oh, well, that's just featureism. She's not actually pretty. Okay, your eye colors come from your genetic background. So if somebody is Black and Irish, or they're like Black and German or something, well, yeah, there are some German people, there are some Irish people that have light colored eyes. But a person who is threatened by your background, they're going to say that, you don't deserve any praise because you're not Black enough, or you don't fit my stereotype, so you don't deserve compliments. Another thing too is they will make jokes about your name, your accent, your cultural habits. Do you have a Black name? Do you have a white name? Do you have an Asian name? That's a racist comment. If they make jokes about your name and the cultural background of your name, that's a sign of jealousy as well. So they want you to feel out of place. They want you to feel like there's something wrong with you because you have a name that represents your background. They want you to feel like something's wrong with you because your accent represents your background. Number 7, sign of jealousy is you will notice a shift whenever you get celebrated. So if you're recognized for your beauty or your culture, suddenly this friend will become distant from you, or they're going to become overly critical. Suddenly they become passive aggressive. So it's not always that they resent you, it's that they resent your visibility. Sometimes it's not that they dislike you, they dislike your status. They dislike your social status. They dislike your privileges. They dislike your visibility. They dislike how much of the male gaze you're getting. They dislike that the social and cultural access you have. They dislike how much of the white male gaze you're getting. Let's say you're half white. Let's say you're Afro-Latina. Let's say you're Blasian. They dislike that you're getting more attention from Asian men than they are. Okay, number 8, they will use your identity to undermine you. Oh, well, you only got picked because you're mixed. Oh, well, that Asian guy, he's only talking to you because you're part Asian. He doesn't like your Black side. Have you ever noticed that? If you're a multiracial type of woman, maybe you're a multi-ethnic, and you get with somebody from one of your ethnicities who's white or they're non-black, then suddenly, oh well, they hate your black side. They only accept half of you. They don't accept the real you. Can anybody relate to this? What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.